Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 8, verse number 276. We will continue from Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langayate Girim, Yat Kripa Tamam Bande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Sri Chaitanyeshwaram, Hariyam Tatsat. Vanalatastarava Atmani Vishnum Vishnum Vejantaya Eva Pushpa Phala Dhyaya Pranata Bhara Vitapa Madhu Dharaha Prema Rishta Tanavo Vavrishuhu Sama. The plants, creepers and trees were full of fruits and flowers due to ecstatic love of Krishna. Indeed, being so full, they were bowing down. They were inspired by such deep love for Krishna that they were constantly pouring showers of honey. In this way, the gopis saw all the forests of Vrindavan. Purport: this verse from Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 35, chapter 35, verse 9, is one of the songs of the gopis sang during the absence of Krishna. In Krishna's absence, the gopis were always absorbed in thought of him. Similarly, Mahāprabhu, the advanced devotee, sees everything as potentially serving the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami states, Prapanchikatya Budhaya Hari Sambandhi Vastunaha Mumukshubhihi Parityago Vairagyam Phalgu Kathaye. This is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.126. The advanced devotees does not see anything as unconnected with Krishna. Unlike the Mayavadi philosophers, a devotee does not see the material world as false because he knows that everything in the material world is connected to Krishna. A devotee knows how to utilize everything in the service of the Lord, and this is characteristic of the Mahābhagavat. The gopis saw the plants, creepers and forest trees loaded with fruits and flowers and ready to serve Krishna. In this way, they immediately remembered their worshipable Lord Sri Krishna. They did not simply see plants, creepers and trees the way a mundaner sees them. Verse 277. Radha Krishna Tomar Maha Prem Haya Yaha Taha Radha Krishna Tomare Sfureya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, my dear Rāya, you are an advanced devotee and are always filled with ecstatic love for Radha and Krishna. Therefore, whatever you see anywhere and everywhere simply awakens your Krishna consciousness. Verse 278. Rāya kahe Prabhu tumi chhad bhari bhuri mor aage nij roop na kariha churi. Rāmānanda Rāya replied, my dear Lord, please give up all these serious talks. Please do not conceal your real form from me. Verse 279. Adhikar bhav kanti kari angikar nij rasa aswadite kariyacha avatar. Rāmānanda Rāya continued, my dear Lord, I can understand that you have assumed the ecstasy and bodily complexion of Srimati Radharani. By accepting this, you are tasting your own personal transcendental humor and have therefore appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 280. Nija gudha kare tomar prema aswadana anusange prema maya kaile tribhuvan. My dear Lord, you have descended in this incarnation of Lord Chaitanya for your own personal reasons. You have come to taste your own spiritual bliss, and at the same time you are transforming sorry, my pages keep flicking. Please bear with me. Yeah. And at the same time, you're transforming the whole world by spreading the ecstasy of love of Godhead. Verse 281. Apne aile more karite udhar ebe kapat kara tomar kona vyavahar. My dear Lord, by your causeless mercy, you have appeared before me to grant me liberation. Now you are playing in a duplicitous way. What is the reason for this behavior? Verse 282. Tabe hasi tanre prabhu dekhaila swarupa Rasaraj Mahabhav Dui Ek Rupa. Lord Shri Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and Srimati Radharani is the personification of ecstatic love of Godhead. These two forms had combined as one in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This being the case, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his real form to Rāmānanda Rai. Purport: this is described as Radha Bhav Diti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Lord Krishna was absorbed in the features of Srimati Radharani. This was disclosed to Rāmānanda Rai when he saw Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. An advanced devotee can understand Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being a combination of Krishna and Radha, is non-different from Radha Krishna combined. This is explained by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Radha Krishna Pranay Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asmad Ekat Manav Api Bhuvi Pura Deha Bhedam Gatautau Chaitanya Khyam Prakatam Adhuna Tadvayam Chaikyam Aptam Radha Bhavditi Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. This is from the Adi Lila, first chapter, verse 5. Radha Krishna is one, Radha Krishna is Krishna, and Krishna's pleasure potency combined. When Krishna exhibits his pleasure potency, he appears to be two, Radha and Krishna. Otherwise, Radha and Krishna are one. This oneness may be perceived by advanced devotees through the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was the case with Rāmānanda Rai. One may aspire to attain such a position, but one should not try to imitate the Mahabhagavat. Verse 283. Dekhi Rāmānanda Haila Anande Murchite Dharite Na Pare Deha Padila Bhumite. Upon seeing this form, Rāmānanda Rai lost consciousness in transcendental bliss. Unable to remain standing, he fell to the ground. Verse 284. Prabhu Tanre Hasta Sparshi Karaila Chetana Sanyasira Vesha Dekhi Vismit Haila Mana. When Rāmānanda Rai fell to the ground unconscious, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu touched his hand and he immediately regained consciousness. But when he saw Lord Chaitanya in the dress of a sannyasi, he was struck with wonder. Verse 285. Alingana Kari Prabhu Kaila Aswasana Tuma Vina E Rupa Na Dekhe Anyajana. After embracing Rāmānanda Rai, the Lord pacified him, informing him, but for you no one has ever seen this form. Purport: in the Bhagavad-Gita 7.25, Lord Krishna states, Naham Prakashah Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritaha Mudho Ayam Nabhi Janati Loko Mam Ajam Avyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered. My internal potency Yogmaya, and so they do not know me, who am unborn and infallible. The Lord always reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. The devotees, however, are always engaged in the service of the Lord, serving with the tongue by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and tasting Mahaprasadam. Gradually, the sincere devotees pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Lord reveals himself. One cannot see the Supreme Lord by making personal efforts. Rather, when the Lord is pleased by the service of a devotee, he reveals himself. Verse 286. Mora tattva lila rasa tomar gochare ataiv e rupa dekhailun tomare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed, all the truths about my pastimes and mellows are within your knowledge. Therefore, I have shown this form to you. Okay, now moving on to verse 287. Gora anga nahe mora radhang sparshana gopendra sutta vina tenho na sparshe anyajana. Actually, my body does not have a fair complexion. It only appears so because it has touched the body of Srimati Radharani. However, she does not touch anyone but the son of Nanda Maharaj. Verse 288. Tandra bhave bhavita kari atmamana tabe nija madhurya kari aswadana. I have now converted my body and mind into ecstasy of Srimati Radharani, thus I am tasting my own personal sweetness in that form. Purport: Gaura Sundar here informed Sri Rāmānanda Rai, my dear Rāmānanda Rai, you were actually seeing a separate person with a fair complexioned body. Actually, I am not fair, being Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. I am blackish, but when I come in touch with Srimati Radharani, I become fair complexioned externally. Srimati Radharani does not touch the body of anyone but Krishna. I taste my own transcendental features by accepting the complexion of Srimati Radharani. Without Radharani, one cannot taste the transcendental pleasure of Krishna's conjugal love. In this regard, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur comments on the Prakrit Sahajya Sampradaya, which considers Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to possess different bodies. They misinterpret the words Gaura Anga Nahi Mora in text 287. From that verse and the present verse, we can understand that Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu is not different from Krishna. Both are the same Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Krishna. The Lord enjoys spiritual bliss and remains the shelter of all devotees, Vishaya Vigraha. And in this Gauranga feature, Krishna tastes separation from Krishna in the ecstasy of Srimati Radharani. The ecstatic form is Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Sri Krishna is always the transcendental reservoir of all pleasure, and he is technically called Dhira Lalita. Srimati Radharani is the embodiment of spiritual energy personified as ecstatic love for Krishna. Therefore, only Krishna can touch her. The Dhira Lalita aspect is not seen in any other form of Lord, including Vishnu and Narayan. Srimati Radharani is therefore known as Govinda Nandini and Govinda Mohini, for she is the only source of... my pages, they keep flicking. I'm so sorry. I have to bring it to the default setting later on. She is the only source of transcendental pleasure for Sri Krishna and the only person who can enchant his mind. Verse 289. Tumar thani amar kichu gupt nahi karma lokaile prema bale jana sarva marma. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then admitted to his pure devotee Rāmānanda Rai, now there is no confidential activity unknown to you. Even though I try to conceal my activities, you can understand everything in detail by virtue of your advanced love for me. Verse 290. Gupta Rakhiya Kaha na kariyo prakash amar batula cheshta loke upahas. The Lord then requested Rāmānanda Rai, keep all these talks a secret. Please do not expose them anywhere and everywhere, since my activities appear to be like those of a madman. People may take them lightly and laugh. Verse 291. Ami eka batula tumi dvitiya batula ataev tumaye amaya hai samatula. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, indeed I am a madman and you are also a madman, therefore we are on the same platform. Purport: all these conversations between Rāmānanda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared ludicrous to a common man who is not a devotee. The entire world is filled with material conceptions and people are unable to understand these conversations due to the conditioning of mundane philosophy. Those who are overly attached to mundane activities cannot understand the ecstatic conversations between Rāmānanda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Consequently, the Lord requested that Rāmānanda Rai keep all these conversations secret and not expose them to the general populace. If one is actually advanced in Krishna consciousness, he can understand these confidential talks, otherwise they appear crazy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore informed Rāmānanda Rai that they both appeared as madmen and were therefore on the same platform. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita 2.69. Ya nisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagrati samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. What is the night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is the night for the introspective sage. Sometimes Krishna consciousness appears like a type of madness to mundane people, just as the activities of mundaners are considered a form of madness by Krishna conscious men. Verse 292. Airupa das Dasha Ratri Rāmānanda Sange Sukhe Gunaila Prabhu Krishna Katha Range. For 10 nights, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rāmānanda Rāya spent a happy time discussing the pastimes of Krishna. Verse 293. Nigudha Vrajera Rasa Lilar Vichar Anek Kaila Tar Na Paila Par. The conversations between Rāmānanda Rāya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contain the most confidential subject matters touching the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, that is Vrajabhumi. Although they talked at great length about these pastimes, they could not reach the limit of discussion. Verse 294. Tama Kansa Rupa Sona Ratna Chintamani Yah Keha Yati Kaha Pota Pai Eka Khani. Actually, these conversations are like a great mine where from a single place one can extract all kinds of metals, copper, bell metal, silver and gold, and also touchstone, the basis of all metals. Purport: Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the conversations between Rāmānanda Rāya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rāmānanda Rāya replied to 5 questions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and these questions and the replies are recorded in verses 57 to 67. The first answer is compared to copper, the second to the better metal, bell metal, the third to still better metal, silver, and the fourth to the let me just quickly go back to the page. The third to silver, the fourth to the best metal of all, gold, but the fifth answer is compared to the most valuable gem, touchstone, because it deals with unalloyed devotion, the ultimate goal of devotion life, and illuminates the preceding 4 subordinate answers. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur points out that in Brajbhumi there is Yamuna river with its sandy banks. There are Kadamba trees, cows, Krishna's sticks with which he herds cows, and Krishna's flute. All of these belong to Shanta Rasa, the mellow of neutrality in the devotional service. There are also direct servants of Krishna such as Chitraka, Patraka and Raktaka, and these are the embodiments of service in the mellow of servitude. There are also friends like Sridham and Sudama who embody service in fraternity. Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda are the embodiments of parental love. Above all of these are Srimati Radharani and her assistants, the Gopis, Lalita, Vishakha and others, who embody conjugal love. In this way, all 5 mellows, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhurya, exist eternally in the Brajbhumi. They are also compared respectively to copper, bell metal, silver, gold and touchstone, the basis of all metals. Srila Kaviraj Goswami therefore refers to a mine eternally existing in Vrindavan, Brajabhumi. Verse 295. Krame uthaite saha uttama vastu paya aiche prashnottara kaila Prabhu Ramaraya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rāmānanda Rāya worked like miners, excavating all kinds of valuable metals, each one better than the other. Their questions and answers are exactly like that. Verse 296. Aradina Rāya Pashe Vidaya Magila Vidyaira Kale Tanre Ei Agya Dila. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged Rāmānanda Rāya to give him permission to leave, and at the time of farewell, the Lord gave him the following orders. Verse 297. Vishya chhadiya tumi yaha nilachale ami tirth kari tanha asiba alpakale. Mahaprabhu told him, give up all material engagements and come to Jagannath Puri. I will return there very soon after finishing my tour and pilgrimage. Verse 298. Dui jane nilachale rahiba ek sange sukhe gunaiba kala Krishna katha range. The 2 of us shall remain together at Jagannath Puri and happily pass our time discussing Krishna. Verse 299. Eta bali Rāmānande kari alingana tanre ghare pathaya karila shaina. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then embraced Sri Rāmānanda Rāya, and after sending him back to his home, the Lord took rest. Verse 300. Pratah kale uthi Prabhu dekhi Hanuman tanre namaskari Prabhu dakshine karila prayan. After rising from the bed next morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the local temple where there was a deity of Hanuman. After offering him obeisances, the Lord departed for South India. Purport: in almost all the cities and towns of India, there are temples of Hanumanji, the eternal servant of Lord Ramchandra. There is even a temple of Hanuman near Govindaji temple in Vrindavan. Formerly, this temple was the front of the Gopalji temple, but the Gopalji deity went to Orissa to remain as Sakshi Gopal, being the eternal servant of Lord Ramchandra. Hanumanji has been respectfully worshipped for many hundred and thousand years. Here even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set the example in showing how one should offer respects to Hanumanji. Verse 301. Vidyapure Nana Mata Loka Vaise Yata Prabhu Darshane Vaishnav Haila Chadi Nijmata. All the residents of Vidyanagar were of different faiths, but after seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they abandoned their own faiths and became Vaishnavas. Verse 302. Rāmānanda Haila Prabhura Virahe Vihval Prabhura Dhyane Rahe Vishaya Chadiya Sakal. When Rāmānanda Rai began to feel separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was overwhelmed. Meditating on the Lord, he gave up all his material business. Verse 303. Sankshepe Kahilon Rāmānandera Milana Vistari Varnite Nare Sahasravadana. I have briefly described the meetings between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rāmānanda Rai. No one can actually describe the meetings exhaustively. It is even impossible for Lord Sheshnag, who has thousands of hoods. Verse 304. Sahaje Chaitanya Charitra Ghana Dugdapura Rāmānanda Charitra Tahe Khanda Prachura. The activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like condensed milk, and the activities of Rāmānanda Rai are like large quantities of sugar candy. Verse 305. Radha Krishna Lila Tate Karpura Milana Bhagyavan Yese Kare Aswadana. Their meeting is exactly like a mixture of condensed milk and sugar candy. When they talk of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, camphor is added. One who tastes this combined preparation is most fortunate. Verse 306. Ye iha ek bar piye karna dware tar karna lobhe iha tar karna lobhe iha. My page has again flipped. I'm so sorry. Tar karna lobhe iha chadite na pare. This wonderful preparation has to be taken orally, that is by listening. If one takes it, he becomes greedy to relish it even further. Verse 307. Rasa tattva jnana haya ihara shravane prema bhakti haya radha krishnera charane. By hearing the talks between Rāmānanda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one becomes enlightened with the transcendental knowledge of the meadows of Radha and Krishna's pastime. Thus one can develop unalloyed love for the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Verse 308. Chaitanyera Gudha Tattva Jani Iha Haite Vishwas Kari Shuna Tarkana Kariya Chitte. The author requests every reader to hear these talks with faith and without argument. By studying them in this way, one will be able to understand the confidential truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 309. Alaukika lila e parama nigudha vishwase paye tarke haya bahu dura. This part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime is most confidential. One can derive benefit quickly only by faith. Otherwise, by arguing, one will always remain away. Verse 310. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Advaita Charana Yanhar Sarvasva Tandre Mile Eidhana. He who has accepted as everything the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu can attain this transcendental treasure. Purport: Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Krishna is obtainable for the faithful, but for those who are accustomed to argue, Krishna is far, far away. Similarly, these talks between Rāmānanda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be understood by a person who has firm faith. Those who are not in the disciplic succession, the Asauta-panthis, cannot have faith in these talks. They are always doubting and engaging in mental concoctions. These talks cannot be understood by such whimsical people. Transcendental topics remain far, far away from those engaged in mundane arguments. In this regard, the Vedic mantras in the Kathopanishad 1.2.9 states, Naisha Tarakena Matir Apanyeya Proktaye Neva Su Gyanaye Prishtha, according to the Manduk Upanishad 3.2.3. Nayam Atma Pravachanema Labhyo Na Medhaya Na Bahuna Shrutena Yam Evesa Vrinute Tena Labhyas Tasyaisa Atma Vifrunute Tanum Swam. This is according to the Brahma Sutra 2.1.11. All Vedic literatures declare that transcendental subjects cannot be understood simply by argument or logic. Spiritual matter are far above experimental knowledge. Only by understanding them, if one tries to understand these transcendental topics simply by using one's material brain substance, the attempt will be futile. Whether one is Prakrita Sahajya or a mundane opportunist or a scholar, one's labor to understand these topics by mundane means will ultimately be frustrated. One therefore has to give up all mundane attempts and try to become a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu, which when a devotee follows the regulative principles, the truth of these talks can be revealed to him. This is confirmed in Bhakti Samrit Sindhu 1.2.234. Atar Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Graham Indriya Sivan Mukhe Jivadav Swayam Eva Sfurti Yada. One cannot understand the Lord's holy name, pastimes, forms, qualities, or entourage with one's blunt material senses. However, when the senses are purified by the constant rendering of service, the spiritual truth of this pastime of Radha Krishna is revealed as confirmed in the Munduk Upanishad, Yam Evaisa Vrinute Tena Labhyas. Only one who is favored by a Supreme Personality of Godhead can understand the transcendental features of Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Verse 3.1. Rāmānanda Rāya Mura Koti Namaskare Yanra Mukhe Kaira Prabhu Rasera Vistar. I offer 10 million obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Rāmānanda Rāya. From his mouth such spiritual information has been expended by Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Verse 3.12. Damodar Swarupera Karcha Anusare Rāmānanda Milan Lila Karila Prachare. I have tried to preach the pastimes of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu meeting with Rāmānanda Rāya in accordance with the notebooks of Srila Swarup Damodar. Purport. At the end of every chapter, the author admits the value of the disciplic succession. He never claims to have written this transcendental literature by carrying out research work. He simply admits his indebtedness to the notes taken by Swarup Damodar, Raghunath Das Goswami and other authoritative persons. This is the way of writing transcendental literatures, which are never meant for so-called scholars and research workers. The process is Mahajano Yena Gataha Sa Panthaha. One has to strictly follow great personalities and acharyas. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, one who has the favor of the acharyas knows everything. This statement made by Kaviraj Goswami is very valuable for all pure devotees. Sometimes the Prakrita Sahajas claim that they have heard the truth from the Guru, but one cannot have transcendental knowledge simply by hearing from a Guru who is not bona fide. The Guru must be bona fide and must have heard from his own bona fide Guru. Then only will his message be accepted as bona fide. Lord Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad-Gita 4.1. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktvana Aham Avyayam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvake Pravid. The The Supreme Lord said, I instructed the imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan instructed to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. In this way, the message is transmitted in the bona fide spiritual disciplic succession from bona fide spiritual master to the bona fide student. Srila Kaviraj Goswami, therefore, as usual, concludes the chapter by reasserting his faith in the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis. Thus, he is able to set forth his transcendental literature, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Verse 313. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yar Asha Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishna Dasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in the footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 8th chapter, describing the talks between Shri Caitanya Mahāprabhu and Rāmānanda Rāya. So we'll begin chapter number 9 next time. Thanks for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. And tomorrow is Janmashtami. Let me take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy Janmashtami. Hari Bol.